We've been there. Feeling lost after the service, stuck between the dark memories of the past and the uncertainty of the future. And you're looking for a lifeline, something to hold on to find your way back. Today's guest, Logan Spiewak, walked that same difficult path from a troubled youth to a Marine Corps infantryman. Logan faced setbacks at every turn. But what if the way out of that darkness was right in front of you, hidden in something as simple as a gym? Logan turned his life around through fitness, faith, and a newfound purpose in helping veterans reclaim their health and lives. Before we get into this episode, though, I want to take a moment to raise awareness for something that's deeply important to our community, which is the Global War on Terrorism Memorial Foundation. This organization is working to build a permanent national memorial in Washington, D.C. to honor the service members, families, and civilians impacted by the global war on terrorism. This memorial serves as both a tribute to those who served and a way to ensure their sacrifices are recognized and remembered for generations to come. If you want to learn more about the foundation or how you can support their mission, visit gwatmemorialfoundation.org. Now let's get into Logan's powerful journey. Logan, welcome to the show. I'm really glad to have you here. Looking forward to this conversation.
Yeah, thank you for having me, Scott, taking the time to do this on a Saturday night so people know.
Yeah, it is. And, just a little behind the scenes thing for the listeners. These episodes get recorded way in advance. And, Logan and I, we're sitting here and it's a nice Saturday evening and we're getting this episode recorded. But, we're here really, talking about, a mission that Logan has here, talking about Boots to Health and what that's all about. But before we get into all of that, Logan, would you be able to just give us a quick, kind of background history of, who you are, kind of military affiliation, your background, with the military and, how you got
Yeah,
involved with what you're doing now?
yeah. So Scott, do you want the holy cannoli? You want the holy cannoli? I'll make it brief though, but
Yeah,
I'll
yeah.
give
Give me just kind of like the highlight reel, and if there's
okay.
anything, anything big, we can dive into those if we want. But yeah, just give the highlight reel just for the listeners so they know, kind of who we talking, who's Logan, what's this guy
Okay.
all about?
Yeah, absolutely, Scott. All right, so for everybody that's listening, obviously, Scott, I introduced myself. I was expelled from high school early on, a juvenile delinquent, got into a lot of trouble. I have felonies on my record, so I didn't make the best decisions growing up early on, especially being in the environment community I was in. I'll tell everybody that's listening, definitely pick your friends wisely. Who you hang around is who you become. That's a true thing. It's old as dirt, but it's a true saying. Obviously, being expelled and having these already, charges on my background, I really couldn't go to a college per se. And plus, I had to go in alternative school and probation and all that good stuff. So my early on days were not the best. And I, quite frankly, to be honest with you, Scott, didn't really have that many opportunities due to my own fault. I'm not blaming anybody but myself. I take full accountability for all the stupidity that I've done early on. But with that being said, I didn't know what else to do. I actually went to a recruiting office because I was like, well, if I can't, I graduated high school barely, and I can't really do anything with my life. What can I really do? I can sell drugs. I could do this. I could rob people. I could do, like, you know what I mean, Scott? Like, there's not many options for a kid that's 17, 18 that, has already done a lot of bad stuff.
Right.
So I did what any other young man would do. I looked into the military. I essentially tried to join the Navy first, but that didn't happen because I had a pyeloplasty surgery as a baby. So essentially, what that means is I only have one kidney that fully functions. So I couldn't, obviously, so much medical work. The recruiters didn't want to be bothered with doing all that, going in the maps, blah, 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 blah. Tried one branch, tried the Navy. They said no. Tried the Air Force. Of course, they said no. Tried the Army. They said no, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, what do I do?" And I'm like, "Okay, let me try the Marine Corps, the last pick." And I was like, "Okay, this." They all said no, right, Scott? So I'm like, I'm going
Sure.
in there, thinking this isn't gonna what's gonna happen. I went in there, I met this dude, obviously, tied it up Marine. He looked at me. He's like, "Oh, that's easy, son. We can get you in." So I was like, "Okay, well, this is fantastic news, right? This guy can get me situated in the Marine Corps." So based on that information, I know how to go do a whole bunch of med doc, Sky, doing all this stuff for the government. Finally got pushed through. Finally got my ship date going out to the military. Granted, I should backtrack. The MOS that I picked was 0311. Obviously, so I was a rifleman in the Marine Corps.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, funny story too. I'll tell you this, Scott, as well. When I got into the military, when I even got to boot camp, I actually got dropped in boot camp, believe it or not, because of some stupid stuff that I did when I was in the even in the military. But anyway, Scott, gets great because I got dropped, and the new platoon I got picked up with, I became a squad leader. And I graduated from boot camp as a squad leader and got meritoriously promoted through that. So that was kind of a cool thing because I was already about to graduate from boot camp and then had to go the whole way back through again.
Wow.
I did boot camp twice pretty much, to be honest with you. It was 26 weeks at Paris Island almost. It was terrible. Anyway, got pushed through, went to SOI and then got to my unit. Obviously, being in an infantry unit, seeing a lot of these different guys and having these different experiences than I as this young kid, kind of already knowing who I was just because of all the stupid stuff that I did going in. Because, when you go into a new fleet in the unit, everybody, you kind of already get like a background check. They run everything on you to see who you are. Who are these kids, whatever. And a lot of the guys that I was in my unit with, a lot of them were already a lot older, and they would call them salt dogs. Scott, are you familiar with that term?
I've heard it. Yeah.
So these guys have been to Fallujah and all that good stuff. These guys are no BS, straight to the point. These guys are go getters, and
Sure.
these guys that I obviously was in charge of our unit. I'm not going to mention their names because I don't want to disdain anybody, but a lot of them had some internal issues, Scott, that we were mentioning earlier because of going to deployments and having PTSD and all this good stuff. Great guys, phenomenal guys. But unfortunately, a lot of them ended up killing themselves and all this stuff because PTSD, a lot of them were in not drugs, but drinking and all that good stuff. So a lot of these people that I knew and looked up to had a lot of internal conflicts post, service and while in the service. So, with having all that kind of atmosphere and environment I was in, Scott, it wasn't good for me, especially because of my background I was coming from already, Scott.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of was trying to get away from that and kind of somehow found that again, and it kind of put me in a bad headspace. And then a lot of these guys, like I said, Scott, were dealing with their personal problems and taking it out on you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We'll cut, but we don't have to. Yeah. But,
Yeah.
and we'll cut that.
Yeah. No, it's all good. I think just looking at your story and kind of going through all the different branches, and leave it to the Marine Corps where there's a will, there's a way. They want to get somebody in, they'll figure it out, right? And,
For sure.
You walked in, you clearly had a pulse, so they were good to go with that.
I could look left, I could look right. We're good to go. Scott.
Exactly, right. And could you pull a trigger? All right, cool. Let's go.
Yeah.
We'll teach you the rest. So it seems like you obviously had some troubles in your youth. Realized, hey, I'm at a fork in the road here. I can keep going down the path I'm going. It obviously isn't working out very well. You weren't doing too good with, doing the bad stuff. Otherwise you wouldn't have gotten caught. No, but
okay, Scott, that's fine. You can leave that in. I like that. You can leave that in. I like that. That's fine.
No, but so you're looking at that and it's like, okay, do you really want to keep going down that road? Because, what good comes from that? Going down that road, and then you're like, okay, well, what else? What other options are there for me? How can I improve my situation? You look at the military, and unfortunately, a lot of them just turn you away for various issues. And come the Marine Corps, thank God they put their weight behind you and said, hey, yeah, we'll take you in, and who knows where Logan would have ended up had it not been for the Marine Corps, right? And so I think that it's a great thing. And now you're doing something, kind of continuing to serve, doing something great for the military and veteran communities. Tell us about Boots to Health. Tell us what that's all about and, kind of what you guys are up to with that.
Yeah, so thank you, Scott. Yeah, I honestly, to be honest with you, Scott, like you said, if it wasn't for the Marine Corps, giving me that structure and discipline that I desperately needed, I don't think I'd be where I'm at today just because of that work ethic. I know there's a lot of Marines out there, but, they'll all tell you, that discipline is definitely there.
Mm-hmm.
But like I said, Scott, when I was getting out, obviously the transition was not the best for me. I had a lot of issues like other people have had.
Yeah.
Kind of like don't know where to go, don't know what to do. You go from being told X, Y, and Z to show up here to eat this time, which is what I needed before, and now I'm losing it again.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't, I'm going right back to where I was. So like I'm getting to the point, but, I would go to the gym all the time, Scott, to try to escape reality. Some people would, go to drugs or go to alcohol or
Yeah.
whatever kind of coping mechanism. I'm sure, Scott, that you've seen as well.
Yep.
My outlet was kind of like the gym, and it was a good outlet, right? Good, healthy one. And, I was working out one day and I met an old man at this gym. This is when I was kind of still, not a troublemaker, but still, getting my feet kind of back wet and trying to go on the right path, Scott. And I met this old man at the gym, thought he was poor, bought him shoes, kind of took me under his wing and kind of helped mentor me to shape me to who I am today and kind of led me to accept Jesus Christ as my personal savior. And we kind of started this foundation together. So a lot of this stuff that I'm about to tell you, he taught me, and I was, getting mentored by this older man for like 2 to 3 years straight. And then everything that he applied and taught me, I'm trying to do that for everybody else in the veteran community because I know it's helped me out tremendously. And I want to help other veterans because I struggled and I have problems. And I'm not saying I'm a war hero or I'm a Chris Carl or any of these guys, but I have my own issues like everybody else.
Yeah.
I can just help other people. And to me, that's what it's about, man. So we founded this foundation together. I was kind of doing personal training before, and I didn't think that was like enough to help the person. So we started this private fitness center strictly for veterans and first responders. We put together this 3-month program that consists of the personal training piece, the nutrition coaching piece, the life coaching piece. And after veterans who complete the program successfully, we give them the opportunity to become personal trainers and nutritionists if they complete the program. And then also, with that being said, we would hire those veterans if they would like to become trainers and do that part-time for, work reasons, financial reasons, whatever the reason is, just to help these individuals out so they can succeed. And then it kind of gives those other veterans another community, and then they get to kind of be a part of Boost to House Still, and then they get to help more veterans, and then more veterans find out about us, and then it's just come be a part of the community. And I'll tell you, Scott, being 26 and being able to do all this stuff, praise God for that. But the cool thing is, like I was telling you earlier, Scott, is I've been able to reach a lot more people. I've been able to help veterans who are as young as me, who are in their 40s, 50s, 60s, and 70s. And man, the coolest thing is I've had like 2-star generals call me and tell me like, hey kid, keep doing what you're doing.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, okay.
Must be doing something right,
Right.
Yeah, and I being so young, so we were talking before we started recording, and we talked a little bit about age and stuff, and how you make me feel like I'm super old, but that's okay, but seriously, looking at your age now, you're still a young guy, and going from just barely graduating high school, like you said, getting into the Marine Corps, kind of turning things around, getting out and losing that structure that you needed at that point. When you were in high school, you needed that structure. You needed someone to say, hey, go do this, go do that. This is when you eat. This is what you're going to wear. This is when you should show up. And this is all these things. You get a little bit of structure in your life. And now it's like you almost can't fail. As long as you do what you're told, you almost can't fail in the military. Sure, you can. I'm sure people can figure out ways to do it, but there's a pretty good routine and structure. You just do what you're told. Keep your head down. Do your work. You'll be just fine with that, right? But when you get out, now it's up to you to have the discipline to keep that type of routine and rigor to your schedule, and say, okay, every morning I'm waking up at this time, and every morning I'm going to eat breakfast at this time, and lunch at that time, and dinner, whatever, and keep a routine, for yourself. And some people just have a lot of trouble doing that, and then you can slip into getting into some trouble. But you found the gym. That's a great place to go if you want to stay out of trouble. There's you're not going to get into too much trouble there. You just go there, lift your weights, do your running, whatever it is that you're going to do. And, you can stay there as long as you want. And that keeps you away from all the other negative stuff that's out there. And yeah, sure, could it be considered an addiction that you're working out too much or things like that? Yeah, sure. If it's impacting other areas of your life and it's preventing you from doing things that you should be doing or want to be doing, then yeah, sure, then it's a problem. Otherwise, I don't really see that's a problem. Like it's a good thing. You're doing stuff for your health. Like that's good. So do that, and that now you're able to help these other folks, and like you said, you're kind of building a community, which not only is it good, like, so when one person starts to go help somebody else, there's two people who get benefit from that. There's the person who's being benefited by getting the help, but also the person who's doing the helping gets some like mental benefit. It's like you feel good by helping somebody else with whatever it is. Maybe it's with their physical health or mental health or whatever. It kind of just feels good to be able to help people with that type of stuff. And then you form this community where people are helping each other, and it's almost like it's kind of just mushrooms out and just grows into this much bigger and better thing. When the more people are involved, you end up having just kind of an exponential effect of so many different people helping each other. And that seems like a pretty amazing thing that you have going on there.
Yeah, Scott. Just going off of that, like we were talking about earlier, a lot of the veterans that I've worked with, they come from distressed backgrounds, right? Like a lot of these individuals have, you said you were deployed, Scott. I don't know exactly where, but you've seen combat. I don't know. You served. That's
Yeah.
phenomenal. I'm not discrediting that, but a lot of these guys, a lot of them are Marines that I see. So these guys have a lot of stressors in their own personal lives, with the social economical background as well. So it makes it very difficult for these people to find a good quality of life after getting out of service, like you said, Scott,
Mm-hmm.
because these things that they were told to do, they were just doing it. And like you said, now they have to make choices. And what happens is these individuals start to make the wrong choices, and they get into this point of despair, and they think, get to the point of killing themselves, right, Scott? So I would like these individuals to come get help through our program, because our program's free. I did not mention that, but it's completely free. I haven't charged a veteran since I've started this, and I will never charge a veteran for this because it's the right thing to do. The VA should be doing this, and well, they've tried and they can't. Let's be honest, Scott. They've tried it. Money. I call it the M&M effect. They give them money and medication and get well. It's
Yeah.
a bunch of. That's what it is. But I would like to help these individuals from a root problem, for them to become better individuals,
Mm-hmm.
to help themselves, to help their families, and to help their kids if they have them, and for them to succeed, because every veteran can succeed. Especially the Marine, man, any infantry, Marine, or whatever, anybody infantry in the military, they can be successful, because if you're showing up and doing this every day, why can't you do it out here?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
that's my.
exactly. Yeah, no, I was an infantryman too in the army, so don't hold that against me. But,
I won't.
but no, seriously, you're right. If you can do that job, you could do just about anything that you
Any,
put your mind to. You know, you can get out there and start a business. You can get out there and work your way up the ranks in a company that you might be working for, and you can do all sorts of different things if you apply yourself. I mean, think about before any of us joined the military. I don't care what your job was in the military, whether it was an infantryman or a medic or God, who cares? Whatever it was that you did, finance or whatever. Likely, you didn't know your job before you joined the military. You didn't know how to do your job. So you had to learn how to do your job. So that just tells me right there, you're capable of learning something. Now, maybe you needed somebody to be screaming in your face in order for you to learn what your job is, right? I don't miss that either. But maybe that's what you needed. You need a little verbal motivation to get your ass going. Maybe you would have done better in algebra. For the listeners, if your teacher was screaming in your face the whole time, and it's like, oh, well, damn, I guess I'll do it. All right, fine. But when you're able to learn something like that, you can apply that the method of learning. You can apply that to other things too. You can learn how to do other things outside of the military, and you can move on and do so many great things. But like what you're doing now, I'm sure this was not something as you were getting out of the military that you're like, you know what, this is what I'm going to be doing. I'm going to go out and I'm going to go help out veterans and first responders. You
No.
probably didn't have, this whole program laid out in front of you, knowing exactly how running a business works, or any of the things that go into it. You probably didn't have any of that laid out, but you had to figure it out and you learned it and you're able to do it, right?
Well, Scott, like I said earlier, right? I barely have a high school education. I don't have no business acumen. I didn't take any. I don't. I
Yeah.
mean, I'm a jackass on paper, right? Yeah, like that's what it is, right? I mean, that's what it is, Scott. Let's not kid ourselves, right? Let's be realistic. So, if I can do it, any of you can do it. Let's be
Sure.
quite frank. Like, I'm going to be quite simple and put it out there. I mean, anybody can be successful. It's just like you said, Scott, how bad do you want it? And like you said, I didn't know I was going to do all these things and be able to help all these people. But, it's phenomenal that I'm able to. And it's a ministry in a sense because we're able to help care for a lot of different people. I've been able to help a lot of different people and meet a lot of awesome different people, organizations, and there's so many people out there that want to help vets. There's some organizations out there that say they want to help vets that don't want to help vets. I'm sure that
Hmm.
unfortunately, that's just how it is. But there is a lot of people out there that care about veterans, and for any veterans that are listening, man, you're not weak if you get help. I don't care what anyone says, man or a woman. If you need mental health help, go get it. I don't care what anyone says. You should
Yeah.
take care of you because you deserved it, you earned it, and you fought for it, regardless of what you did. So get the help, get care, get connected, and get into community, and you can't go wrong. That's it.
Exactly, and community, I think, is the big piece there, and that's kind of what you're doing here. You're fostering some sort of community connections between the folks that you're working with and helping out, and I think that is from all the conversations I've had with people over the years through this show. That's a huge piece of kind of figuring out where you start to fit in to the world outside of the military. You're in the military, you have your squad, your platoon, whatever, and you fit in with those people, or you don't. Maybe you don't, but
Well,
what
they're your boy. They're
they're
your boy. They're the boys.
exactly they're the people that you're going to potentially go into combat with. So you're going to get to
Right.
know those people. You're going to learn to love them or hate them, whatever. But at the end of the day, you'll still take a bullet for them, and so you're going to get to know these people pretty damn well. You get out of the military, you don't have those people. Coworkers at a lot of jobs, they go in, they punch the clock, they do their work, they punch out, and they go home. They don't want to deal with anybody else from work or anything like that a lot of times, and you're not going to work to be making friends, most likely, in most cases. But you still need to have some sort of social connection outside of a work environment. And so where do you get that from? How do you figure that out? How do you find that sense of normalcy after leaving the military? I mean, what better way than finding other people who maybe are in the same position as you, and end up having to figure that out on their own. And why not figure it out together? And I think people struggling with these transition issues, especially feeling isolated or disconnected from civilian life, I think that is just one great way to help get back into the routine of things, and start to figure out what does it mean to be a civilian? How do I keep that discipline and keep that schedule routine that I had in the military? How do I keep that going forward? What are other people doing? What's working for them? What's not working for them? And maybe sharing ideas and all that kind of stuff, right? Tell us a little bit more about the program. I know you kind of went into like kind of an overview of it, but maybe a little bit of more specifics on how the program works, where people can what the journey is like when someone gets into the
Yeah.
program, and kind of what
Right.
you guys do and everything, and all the way through.
Sure, absolutely. So let's just do it like this, guy. Let's just say you're a veteran.
Yeah.
You find out about Boots to Health. So either one or two ways. You either get referred from a veteran directly through the program, through another vet, obviously, or another veteran nonprofit, probably in the locality of our area, has probably made that referral as well.
Okay.
So Essentially, Scott, you'll come through the program we have obviously a program application online that we have every veteran fill out just so we know where that veteran is. One, financially, are they able to afford food? Are they able to make it to the facility? Are they going to be consistent in showing up to their one-on-one personal training appointments? Because if they can't even make it to the program, there's already a bridge that we have to fill this gap. So
Yeah.
how can we maneuver around that transportation issue, whatever the case may be, for the veteran to get to the program? So let's just say all that checks off. You're good to go. You can make all your appointments. Boom, 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 boom. Perfect. So either myself or two of my trainers will meet with you, put together a meal plan for you and a workout program tailored to that individual veteran's needs. So whether you have a disability or not, doesn't matter. Our trainers on staff will have their credentials to help these veterans in whatever case may be. So you'll come through, do a basic range of motion test, strength test, and just a nutrition assessment of where you're eating on a daily need. Is your like fresh foods? You know your macros, you know your micros, all that stuff, just to see if they have basic understanding of the human body, and just to see where their quality of health is even at. After that, you'll come to the studio twice a week. Let's just say your sessions are Tuesdays and Thursdays. You'll come in for your hour slots, and then once a week you'll have your meal planning. So you have your session on a Friday. If you come in Tuesdays, Thursdays, you're coming in Friday for your one-on-one meal planning session as well. So then that will carry on for 3 months. After the veteran has completed 3 months, we like to do a before and after assessment of where they started and where they're at, just so you have a better idea of, okay, where was your mental health before, where was your physical health before, and et cetera, and then where you're at after. So after that, we'll show the veteran, hey, this is what you have responded before, this is where you responded after. Keep this, so if you have any questions down the line, you can go back to this for reference. After that, we also then give the veteran an opportunity to become a personal trainer if they would like to, further their educational needs, or, to obviously want to help more veterans through the program. We give the veteran an opportunity to become a personal trainer, obtain their personal training certificate to give them employment help, or become a nutritionist as well. You get your nutritionist certification, Scott. You can do a lot of this stuff online now.
Yeah.
And then after that, if the veteran completes that successfully, we say, hey, look, if you're willing and you want, we will help you, give you a place of employment, and then allow you to train other veterans that have gone through the program, and then kind of have the veteran become on staff and then help train more veterans that way. And then, like you said, Scott, it's kind of a good thing because then it gives them that sense of purpose of saying, hey, look, this helped me, and now I can help more veterans. So it's kind of like a recycle. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
You come
Yeah.
you come in, we help you, and then you want to help more people, and that's the biggest thing, Scott. I just want more people to find out about what we're doing because like I said, Scott, I started this so young. Obviously, when you're a young man walking in the room, and these people were all 30 and 40, like, who is this kid? So, hey, listen, I don't care. Come get the help. That's what I'm here for. That's all I'm going to say about that.
Yeah, and I don't think the age matters. If your heart's in the right place and you're doing the right things, you're saying the right things and everything, and getting people the sense of purpose and moving them in the right direction. And I like that it's a program. It's laid out. It's kind of a fixed amount of time, and people know that at the end of this program, they basically have a plan in place that they can follow that and just rinse and repeat that process in their life, or make tweaks to fix something specific to their needs or whatever.
Yeah, Scott, can
Yeah,
I
go
make
ahead.
another comment on that? Yeah, so the reason why the program's 3 months long is because in order to create any healthy habit, it's going
Yeah.
to take 90 days, as you know. 90 days to form a new habit. So in hopes of that, after these 90 days, you sustain this healthy new habit, you can continue and apply that application on.
Yeah.
Obviously, I'm not the federal government, so I don't print and hand out, money. If I could, I would, but I can't. I'm sorry, Scott, it's the truth. Unfortunately,
I wish you could.
I wish I could. I would give you some too, Scott. Listen. But the point is, I'm trying to help these people and do the best I can. But like I said, Scott, obviously we're not federally funded. I've raised all this money like individually myself, so I'm doing this. Yeah, so obviously we don't get any federal grants or anything like that. So I'm genuinely doing this because I believe in what I'm doing and because I want to help people. Like that's what that is.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing I was kind of getting at was that when you do something consistently, you're showing up every week for all your sessions, for the 2 appointments and then the meal session at the end of the week, or however it's structured for each individual, that creates that routine that we've been missing.
Right.
Hey, I know at least, twice a week. I gotta go do some sort of physical activity. Hopefully you're doing it more, outside of that, but
Right, right.
it kind of starts
It
to
gives you
build that.
structure.
Yeah, it builds that foundation that you might need. And then hopefully you're extending that out to other days of the week as well. You're not just limiting it to 2 days, but doing some activity throughout the week and learning how to meal plan. You're doing that, and putting together nutritious meals, not just grabbing whatever's quick and easy, and getting the McDonald's burger and fries and soda and all that, the stuff that it's quick, it's easy, but it's not good for you. And doing that type of stuff will help you to start making better, healthy decisions with the food. You'll start to see some more progress with your physical health, which in turn will start helping out the mental health side of things as well. And so then you kind of become a snowball, and things just start getting better and better and better as things go on. And especially if, employment was an issue for somebody, and they figure out that, hey, I can also, get a job after this doing something, helping other folks. That's a great thing as well. So, there's a lot of
Yeah.
opportunities there, right?
Yes, I mean, like you said, Scott, there's so many opportunities, but a lot of these individuals that I service, obviously, their health. There's a huge health barrier for these individuals that come in. A lot of veterans, unfortunately, that I've seen are overweight,
Mm-hmm.
and their health is not the best. So I think it's a good thing that we have a 2 day split. To be quite frank with you, Scott, because it's not gonna burn the veteran out. It's going to let them say, "Hey, look, I can come back again and do this again this week. This is going to be good for me."
Yeah.
Like you said, I can make it to the. Oh, look, I got to make it to the gym today. I have another appointment. I look forward to doing that because if you're coming in, you haven't worked out, Scott. You're off the bench for 6, 7 years. You're not coming to the gym 5 times, 5 days a week,
No.
Scott. You're coming twice a week. Okay, and we're going to start out gradually, and I'm going to be able to build up, and then where I'm at now after these 90 days, I can continue to apply these principles here,
Yeah.
just like the military, and keep carrying on, and then to keep helping more people. So,
Well, it's the crawl, walk, run, just like the military. You got to start somewhere, right? I remember after getting out of the military, I I didn't do a push up. I didn't run. I didn't do any kind of exercise for the longest time afterwards. And I remember I went for a run a couple of years later, and man, I felt like I was going to puke. I was like, I got to do something, because I was starting to put on some pounds. I was like, I got to go do something. So I went out. I just went for a run. I used to be a great runner too, and
well, you were infantry.
I was. I mean, you kind of had to be, right? um,
Yeah, you're funny, man. I don't care. You're a funny guy. Yeah.
no, but I used to be pretty good, and then I let it all go and went for that run, and I don't even think I made it a mile, and I was like doubled over, and like I felt like I was gonna puke, and I was like, man, I don't ever want to get to this place again. I gotta do something to get back and make sure that I get back into some sort of good shape. I know obviously as you get older, your joints and everything like that, they start getting old on you, and they're not going to work quite as well. But the better the better shape I could be in at a younger age, the better off I'm going to be as I get older. And so that was a mindset for me. And so yeah, the next day I didn't go for a run because my legs were burning, my back was hurting, like everything was just hurting after that day. But I slowly started getting back into it. And to your point, yeah, you're not going to go in the gym hitting it hard every day if you hadn't been for 7 years.
Yeah,
You know,
yes, I tell the guys be proactive, not reactive, right?
yeah,
So be for your body because, like you just said, a lot of these guys, 7 years now, you got to be reactive to all these new physical and neurological changes to the brain because of what physical health, what the physical. Okay, so physical education, what it does to the neuroscience of the brain is actually very, very, very very interesting, Scott. That's a whole different topic. And what it does and alters in the chemicals in your brain is actually, Andrew Huberman. Like I'm a huge fan of him. The whole holistic medicine,
yeah.
and he talks about it as well. Like you just said, everything that we do is holistic for that purpose to better the individual, not just one specific area. I want the veteran to succeed physically, mentally, and spiritually. So I kind of wanted to put everything together this way,
Yeah.
so they can succeed. That's it. Really, it.
That's, I mean, that's the goal. I think for everybody is that sort of success, because a lot of other things come from that. if you are feeling like you're a failure in one area of your life, you're maybe going to feel like you're a failure in others as well. And so if you could start seeing some of the successes from your hard work and start seeing, okay, maybe some of these pounds are dropping, and maybe my pants are fitting a little looser now, and I'm starting to feel a little bit better. I'm not wheezing as I get to the top of the stairs, or any of that. Like I'm starting to feel pretty good. Um, and then that gives you maybe a boost of confidence, and you're better off in some other areas of your life. And all these things just, ultimately will, just start having that snowball effect, like I was saying, and make all the things in your life better. As you start seeing more positivity, you're going to start getting more positivity, and those.
Yeah, it just like the energy feeds off of each
Yeah.
other.
Yeah.
Like because a lot of us are okay. A lot of us are younger than most of the guys that come in, and that's a good thing to be honest with you, Scott. Because usually the veterans who have the older population, like the Vietnam era guys, they don't really mix with the younger guys. But I think they don't, Scott.
Yeah.
Like it's really like the VFWs and American Legion guys, they don't really connect with us young guys. But it's been very interesting, Scott, because I've actually had a lot more older guys interested in the physical training because I think they've realized they get to a point in their life. Well, hey, look, I'm 78, 70, 79, whatever. I need to take care of myself.
Yeah.
All right. But it's cool because they get to work with us, the young cats, right? And it just gives them that, oh, look, that was me. And, it's just banter. It's just a good thing, I think, for everybody
Right.
because they have a whole bunch of different war stories than people that are our age and talk to. It's just cool, man, because you can mix them. There needs to be more, community for that gap, for that age gap, and I think that gives a good opportunity to mix with the older crowd and vice versa. I think it's cool.
Yeah, I do too, and I think there's a
Just
saying.
read your, I just read your shirt, by the way.
Oh, you like that? I and
Yeah,
I didn't even plan this. Like this was just what was on. The grumpy old vet shirt
I love it.
is the
You can't
shirt that I had. No, but going back to what you're just saying, if you are the best whatever in the room or on the field or whatever, you're in the wrong room. You're on the wrong field. Like you gotta step up and go to another field, another room, another whatever to challenge yourself and push yourself, push your boundaries, because you're going to start seeing people who are better than you and at whatever the thing is. And you're going to say, oh, well, I want to be like that guy. I want to be better and push myself to get better. If you're already the best in the room, you're not going to really have that desire to push yourself to get better, because it's like, well, compared to everybody else, I'm already better. So why do I need to push much harder? And so, if you're getting some of these older guys who are out of shape in a room with younger guys who are in shape, it's like, man, I remember when I used to be 26 and I used to be able to do all the things that you can do, and running and lifting and jumping and all the things that now I cringe at thinking about doing. I remember doing all of those things, and I kind of like to do some of those things again. As people start having kids or grandkids or whatever, and it's like, well, maybe I want to go out and run around and play with them and stuff, but gosh, I can't do it because I feel like I'm going to have a heart attack just because I, stood up too fast or something, like those types of things, and if you're seeing that, and you maybe get that drive and motivation from those younger folks, right?
well, that Scott, but like I'll also mention this: I'm not a clinical at all, behavioral therapist or anything like that. So I'm not, claiming I am. But a lot of these guys, I've learned a lot from the individual emotionally from veterans
Uh-huh.
because it gets to a point where you build this kind of bond, Scott, with these individuals that come in. And I don't want to say veterans don't trust people, but to be honest with you, Scott, they don't trust people
Yeah.
after they get, you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
I know what you're saying. Yeah.
Like I've heard some crazy stories, Scott. Like I mean, wow. But I finally been able to build relationships with a lot of these people, and they start to like tell me what's going on in their own personal lives, their families' lives, and I'm able to just build friendships with these people and get to understand them like on a different level, Scott.
Yeah.
So it's not just going to the gym. Like it's just a way of life for these people, and I think it's great.
I think it's great too. And I think, again, we were talking before we started recording this episode. I think part of this show is highlighting the various resources that are available to veterans that they may just not know exist. And so when you're sitting there feeling hopeless. Hey, I think I've tried everything that I know about anyways. Well, guess what? There's another option. And, that's what I like to do. And, hearing kind of the process, how people go through, what you guys do, and the energy level and the community and that camaraderie that starts to get built. I think that's what a lot of folks are missing. And well, if you're missing that, here's an option, and that this is exactly the type of thing I love to highlight on this show is, exactly what you're doing. It's something that some veteran out there doesn't know what you do, but needs what you do. And I want to be able to highlight that and let them know that this is out there. And hey, get off the couch, go pick up the phone or go on the website or whatever it is that you need to do, and get yourself scheduled up and and do that. And so with that, for the listeners who are sitting there thinking like, yeah, this is something I'd like to check out, where can they go to find out more about Boots to Health and what you guys do, and how they can get the ball rolling?
Yeah, well, thank you, Scott. So first of all, obviously, anybody can go to www.bootstohealthfoundation.org. Email us at bootstohealthfoundation@gmail.com. All of our social medias, Boots to Health Foundation, everywhere. I mean, it's pretty easy to find the little thing once you type it. Obviously, you said, Scott, people may not be familiar with it because there's so many different resources.
Yeah.
But once you type it in online, should be easy to find. Reach out to us. Myself, somebody will answer the phone. More than happy to talk to you, see
Great.
where you're at, and get you situated and plugged in. I mean, that's really what it's about. Like Scott said, come be a part of the community.
Absolutely. And so, with that, I will put the links that you mentioned, all that stuff is going to be in the show notes. And so listeners, you can check that out there. Just click the link and it'll take you right to where you need to go. Logan, I really do appreciate everything that you're doing. I appreciate you, being open and vulnerable, sharing your story, your background, and, how you got to what you're doing now, because it's, an important piece of your story. And, again, want to be able to highlight everybody's story, and including, people who are still out there serving in, various capacities and giving back to the veteran community. I really do appreciate everything that you're doing, and, keep doing it. I think it's great work.
Well, I appreciate that a lot, Scott. Thanks for having me on, and thanks for making time Saturday night.
Yeah, you bet. Thanks again, Logan.